This is an official TTRT documentation. The time is 11:37 a.m. It is Sunday, 9/19/2010. We're playing part 2 of this clip. I backed it up a little bit from this other part I just uploaded, and we're going to listen to passengers being able to be charged with Title 28 traffic tickets. I had a personal experience, and I believe I have a little bit of expertise in this subject. So I'm going to document a little further. We're going to pause after I play this portion of this clip, and I'm going to fill in some blanks here. Let's check it out, folks. Here we go.
But if I do find out one of the others wrong, I'd like him to study up. I asked him to ask his superiors.
Well, and again, that's what happens, when you're asking for just a general. I mean, for example, let's say you are stopped on a traffic stop.
Well,
you're required by law to provide identification.
That's the driver, but not the passenger under.
Well, there are cases where the passenger is also required to provide identification. If the passenger is also committing a Title 28 violation, the passenger is also required to give identification.
Okay, folks. Let's make a hypothetical example. Title 28, 622, failure to obey officer controlling, regulating, directing traffic. Title 28 is the traffic code. Okay, here it gets interesting, folks. Title 28, 621 says this section refers exclusively to the operation of vehicles on highways. That's all from my mind, folks. The Title 28, 622, the Title 28, 621, I've memorized it. And it gets more interesting right now. Now, this guy just said the passenger can be ID'd, and I'm not so sure that's correct in full. Maybe there's some other Title 28 statute I haven't looked at, but here's what Pima County Sheriff's Department policy and procedure says the last time I looked at it and memorized it. Now, this is from my mind, folks. If I misquote a word, then that's just the way it is, but I'm staying on point in general. Here's what it sounds like. Deputies shall ensure, through testimony, witnesses, and field reports, that the person accused of a Title 28 traffic ticket was in actual physical control of the vehicle at time of violation. Now, I know you heard what this guy just said, and I know you're hearing what I just said, but I had a real-life experience with Title 28, 622. And it was dismissed for lack of subject matter jurisdiction. I went to court and said, Your Honor, I'll plead guilty right now if the state can produce evidence I was operating a vehicle at time of violation. Contrary to the mandate of its procedures, the deputies must ensure through testimony and witnesses and field reports that the person accused of a Title 28 traffic ticket was in actual physical control of the vehicle at time of violation. I could be wrong now, folks, but I wasn't wrong then, and the judge agreed with me. So I'd have another question for this Detective Rice. He might call me with the answer because I guess he's watching my videos. And I need to know if there's some other traffic tickets that could be applied contrary to Pima County Sheriff's Department policy and Title 28, 621 that says this Title 28 traffic section refers exclusively to the operation of vehicles on highways. So once again, you got to be operating the vehicle. How can you get a ticket as a passenger? Jaywalking? Failure to obey officer directing traffic? No, that's for the driver. Maybe this is costing me a lack of sleep, folks, and I'm just gonna play this clip again one more time, and then we'll let it go again and keep going, and I'll stop it at the next time I need to say something, and we'll take it from there. Here we go.
And so,
oh, not there.
This isn't even really like a complaint because the officer wasn't rude. He might have been firm.
Right about here, actually. There we go.
And I see a conflict here, two stories. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it.
No, I understand what you're saying.
But if I do find out one of the others wrong, I'd like him to study up. I asked him to ask his superiors.
Well, and again, that's what happens, when you're asking for just a general. I mean, for example, let's say you are stopped on a traffic stop.
Well,
you're required by law to provide identification.
That's the driver, but not the passenger under.
Well, there are cases where the passenger is also required to provide identification. If the passenger is also committing a Title 28 violation, the passenger is also required to give identification.
Pause, folks. How can a passenger commit a Title 28 traffic violation? anyways, I'm gonna need an answer to that question. In my mind, I don't understand. I could be wrong. I'm not anybody. I'm a flea on a dog's ass. I'm just somebody who thinks they know something, and I might know something extra in certain areas that other people don't. But I probably don't know anything in other areas that I should. I just know what I've studied, and I have studied this one, folks. Let's continue this. I think I'm right. I'm not sure 100%, but the judge agreed with me in the day when I was in front of a judge. I can't imagine the policy for the sheriffs changing to the degree that they're going to have a policy that puts them in a problem and ends up in someone like me in front of the judge again saying, hey, what happened to the old policy? Because it's Title 28. I don't know. Here we go. Let's play the rest of this. More of it. Here we go.
Okay. To cite them accurately, I understand that. So we're talking the what ifs sort of again, but yeah, okay.
Well, again, I mean, I get what you're asking, but again, none of those case numbers seem to correlate with anything that you may have. What was the incident in question you're talking about? Was it an accident? Was it a traffic stop? Was it just reporting of something, or what?
What do you mean? Well, we're talking about this current subject, or?
Yeah, the case numbers you're giving me. Neither of those seem to have anything related to you with. If that makes sense.
The case number?
Yes.
Has nothing related to me?
Well, that's why I'm asking. I don't know if I have the right case number again, because neither of those two case numbers don't seem to have you listed as being involved. That's why I'm asking, what is the case about?
Oh, I was gathering chicken eggs. I saw El Camino or Ranchero come down the street. Some kid, about 20 years old, he backed in and started loading up some of my fully functionable cooler parts, the side panels, and I'm like, oh, no, you don't. I came inside to get my keys, and then I tried to block him in with a vehicle to a truck, and he did a big burnout and almost hit me, and, well, I'm saying he came at me, and he
right.
So I feared for my life even, so I tried to back into him or cut him off or something, but he was too fast in a smaller car than a big truck, and then, so I don't know what it would be, an attempted assault, an attempted murder, some theft. It's theft for sure. They wrote on this victim thing, theft, under offense type of crime.
Okay.
It was report time was 18:23.
Yeah, no, I have it. It's the...
What do you mean? Do you have other reports yesterday?
No. It's the 273 case number. I was just telling you, this is the one. It's listed as a 911 hang-up.
Right, and then they called me back because I was on my cordless and I had to come into the, battery was dying, I had to come into this base unit.
Right.
Okay, so it's in that circumstance in the street, it was voluntary, the officers indicated, and say, today when I called and an officer called me back, it was mandatory that he needed my alleged birth date, and under some law that he couldn't quote, of identifying myself to a police officer. I'm like, you called me, you're talking to me, and I made nobody else is going to know about the report number yet. I mean, it was just kind of interesting. Anyways, it can't change from one day to the next on the same case number for reporting information. The initial report, it was voluntary, so obviously, and I've done this to Internal Affairs at TPD. They indicated it was voluntary to disclose all that extra information over the phone. My name and phone number was suffice. It was, so I already know that if I was going to be arrested for not disclosing extra personal information, it probably already would have happened to me by now.
Okay.
and when you guys, and not trying to stretch it, but when I feel this extra firmness in officers' voices and they're trying to say there's a law, then right away my mind goes to, all right, this guy wants to put me in handcuffs under the guise of whatever he's saying, secret law or harassment, whatever it might be, and cause an unlawful imprisonment because I'm not cooperating. This personal information, I don't know, I can go on and on. But,
no, I understand what you're saying,
okay,
sir.
well, so I'm just trying to let you know where I'm coming from.
No, I understand where you're coming from.
So what's